Welcome back to WHIP, Philadelphia's #1 college radio station. On the line with us today, we have a very special guest. His name is Jason Myrtetus. He is a co-host of the Mike Missinelli Show, the afternoon drive show at 97.5. He is the assistant program director of 97.5. He is a Philadelphia product out of Penn State University. Jason, how are you today? And thank you for a few minutes of your time.
I'm doing great, man. Thanks.
Good to have you. Now, let's start off with some Flyers. What are your impressions of this team so far?
Well, I think they're a team right now that, unfortunately and eerily, has a similar kind of identity as the team that we saw at the end of last year, or most of last year, where they're a team that they tend to play down to the competition. And, well, before this week, they seem to play up to the better teams, but this road here has not been good for them. Obviously, they've done a poor job. They can't score. And oddly enough, one of the things that you're a lot of people say prior to the season was that, they need help on defense, and well, that will be coming when young kids come up. And I thought so before the season, and I think last year was an indicator of this, that this team has biggest issue is that they can't score, especially 5-on-5. We saw that last year, and that's come right into this year where they just can't put the puck in the net. The one goal a game is going to be very difficult games to win, no matter how good your goaltending is. And so far, the biggest issue has been the fact they can't score. And you couple that with the fact that the top line for the team is Giroux, Voracek, and Michael Rockle just hasn't been good enough. If those guys aren't on the score sheet, then you got a problem. The NHL, if you want to win, your best players got to be your best players. And right now, for the Flyers, that has not been the case, which is why they're struggling.
Yeah, you wish Giroux and Voracek would give you production out of a duo like Seguin and Jamie Benn. You mentioned how the Flyers have, they won some games early against good competition. They beat Boston away. They beat the Rangers at home, and they took down Chicago. They even shut them out. Why does this team seem? It seems you said it seems to be a common theme. Every year it seems like they get off to a slow start. What do you think is behind that?
Well, I think the actual start this year wasn't slow. The start was okay. They won 4 games a lot earlier this year than they did with that 3 or 4 years. But the problem is now they didn't skid here. And I think part of it might be a combination of a couple of things. One being that you do have a new coach and you have a team that's trying to learn this system, which is not markedly different from what Greg Giroux did, but there's still nuances to his system that are a lot different. You have that factor. But I think I think you can really boil this down to one thing. That's the fact that they can't put the puck in the net, and that the leaders of this team, the best players, have not showed up on this play. And the fact that Jason Myrtetus now has still the best goal this season, either just Michael Rockle. I think that's the biggest indication of why this team is struggling. If those guys are not scoring, then you're not going to get enough scoring. And secondary scoring is an issue. Yeah, that hasn't been the issue so far. It's the top line guys. If they're not scoring, you're not going to win games.
Yeah, Jake Voracek, I read John Clark's tweet the other day. He hasn't scored an even-strength goal since December last year. That's scary. You mentioned Dave Haxtell. Obviously, new guy, new system. 99 times out of 100, new guy with a new system. There's going to be an adjusting period. But obviously, he's different. What are your impressions of him so far?
I think it's still a little early to tell. I like the man. I'm impressed with him as a man, as a leader, as a coach. As far as systematically in the NHL, he's not doing anything like Chip Kelly coming into the NHL, where he's got this completely different approach. It's nothing like that. He's got some different things that he does and different ways of doing things, but he's not trying to reinvent the wheel. But it will take time. I don't know that he's overmatched, and that's the reason for their failure right now. I think that just this is a situation where Patrick is used to him, and he's getting used to guys. There's going to be a learning curve, and the fact that the Flyers roster is not helping him. They need more guys that can put the puck in the net. They need more skill. I spoke with him right before the season started, and I asked him kind of what his mantra was. What kind of Chip Kelly has in his culture beats scheme or scheme beats whatever it is. I asked Dave Haxtell what his was, and he said you have to have skill, but you have to have will to win with skill. And his team's had a lot of will. There's some games that certainly where they haven't played either a full 60 minutes or they haven't played hard enough. But you're a team that doesn't have the depth of some other teams in the NHL and that skill of other teams. You're going to have the will coming through the roof every night. They haven't had that.
I feel like with the squad, it's like just things aren't clicking at the same time. Like, you're getting outstanding goaltending play from your backup goalie. And right now, Steve Mason isn't exactly what he was last year, but, it's early. He probably just has to get back in the swing of things. I've been listening to your show lately. You're on the air with Mike Missinelli. Claude Giroux, Mike calls him a good player. You call him a great player. I agree with you. The guy wins over 60% of his faceoffs. I believe you said he leads the NHL in points over the past how many years?
That's 5 years.
Yeah, the past 5 seasons. So where does Missinelli, how does he come up with this? Why does he think he's a good player, not a great player? And tell me why you think Giroux is a great player.
I understand why some people say that, because he's not a guy that you watch and you say, wow, look what he did. He took over a game physically. He took over a game with flashy plays. Now, he will have the flashy goals and he will have the great assists. But a lot of times, when Giroux's running good, which he's not right now, but when he is, I say a whole bunch of bullets to assist that for Giroux. He barely ever simply comes out with 3 points. He gets big goals at big times, whether it's in overtime, whether it's to tie a game late in the third period. That's how I look at Giroux. He's not as flashy as Ovechkin or Crosby or those kind of guys, but he's just a very skilled player. So I get why people kind of say he's not a superstar. But when you really look at the game and you really study what he does in the game, that's when he reaches the superstar status for me. Because like you said, he wins draws. He's one of the best face-off guys in the NHL. He kills penalties. He's the anchor on the power play. Everything hinges on what he does on the half wall. He does so many things well and great that the average person just doesn't pick up on all the little things that he does. So I think that is what rises to the level of being a great player.
I agree, yeah. He's the kind of guy where, it's kind of like the Deshaun Jackson effect. And do not get me wrong, Claude Giroux means a lot more to the Flyers than Deshaun Jackson means to any football team. But when Deshaun Jackson is on the field, when Giroux is on the ice, you need to accommodate for wherever he is at all times, because you never know. Because if you let him get that 1 extra inch, he's going to take advantage of it. And unfortunately, Giroux hasn't done that yet, but we've seen in years past that this guy can go on a tear over the course of 2 weeks. Like he can get 20 points in 2 weeks or something like that. He's that kind of guy who can carry this team, hopefully, to the promised land, ideally. On that note, do you think the Flyers have a shot at making the playoffs this year?
I understand right now the way they're playing, and they're right. It's right now, so they're right now. They've always been a full push. But it's a long season. It's about the eighth of the way over. It's a little more than a tenth of the way over. So I look at it and go, okay, you can go on a run. You're not in a position right now where you're so far buried in the standings. If you want to run, you're right back into the mix. So they won some games early against some good teams. They have some teams that they'll face coming up here that aren't as difficult to play against. Right now, they're 7 points back in the Capitals in the division from the top spot. They played one more game than the Caps. They've lost 6 straight. If you can rattle off on a 4 out of 5, then you're probably right there in the mix towards the top of the division with the Islanders and the Penguins, and you're back in playoff position. I want to do that now, though, because you don't want to be chasing the team in the last couple of years with bad starts. When you're chasing 500, you're chasing the playoff positioning, then it takes all your energy just to get back in the mix. By the time you get there, you have nothing left. You fall back, and then you got to chase it again, and chase it again. So this is the point in the season right now where they need to find a way to turn this around. They need to find a way to put the puck in the net. Making the deal for that to happen. Not a lot of guys in this team are guys that can deal, but they do have some options, but you're going to have to give up something to get them. So as you look at it now, I wouldn't be surprised if the Bonextall's working the phone right now to shake things up. Because you don't want to get too far behind here this early in the season. And if they can make a deal, shake things up, and get some wins here, a 4 out of 6 or a 5 out of 7 or 8 games, then you're right back in the mix. That needs to start happening now because the team's still up too much.
Yeah, they've only played 13 games so far. It's not panic button territory yet, but it's definitely cause for concern. You mentioned Hextall, and the potential of a trade. Who do you think possibly is on the move, if anybody?
I think there's a couple guys that are key guys. So they're pretty obviously wants to move. They look out that's not going to be possible.
Right.
They look out with the contract and the years left. But the guys that I think that could be moved, obviously, Lucien could still be moved from the blue line.
Uh-huh.
You're not trading them because he's played poorly. You're trading him because you can get something in return. And a lot of people will say, well, why would a team give up skilled players for a gritty player in this league that requires so much skill? Now, Simmons has skill, but he does a couple of things. He's great on the power play. If you're a team that's struggling in the power play, wants to improve that, that's a key component to add him to your power play. And the other thing is that he doesn't give you grit. Some teams need grit. And he's a guy that you would get a nice return for, and has a palatable contract, and has certainly a value in the league. So he's a guy that I'm kind of looking at saying, I hate to see him go, but he didn't have to go. The Flyers to get something in return definitely shaped the board to see what they did.
Yeah, I agree. I would also hate to see him go, but it's part of the business. If that's what's best for the organization, then they got to go through with it. We're talking with co-host of the Mike Missinelli Show and assistant program director of 97.5, Jason Myrtetus. Jason, let's switch gears for a second. Which players in the NHL have stuck out to you this season? What teams have stuck out to you? Because I'm watching this guy who visited the Wells Fargo Center once already this season. Jack Eichel, it just continues to impress with immense skill. It's just, he's out playing everybody. He reminds me a lot of Jaleel Okafor, kind of, and like how he's just shown up and he's out-skilling players who have been in the league for over 10 years.
Well, yeah, you have to do that with the top of the draft last year who were really good. But a couple of young players start with Jack Eichel. We've seen it twice already. His composure with the puck is really what has impressed me. He's very calm and does a great job possessing the puck. The league doesn't look like it's too big for Jack Eichel. He's already got a couple highlight goals. He's going to be a great player. He's a very good player in this league for a long time. But when you look at the big picture here, really, Connor McDavid is Shane Brooks Rapwood.
Yeah.
LeBron's Fred, and giving the Flyers to the we call it Buck the Ice. He's a guy that, to me, isn't just going to be a great player, a superstar. He's a generational player. And I think he's going to end up being a better player than Sidney Crosby is.
Wow.
He is so apparent. His first couple of steps that he hit in the corner, and his steps towards the net happen so quickly. And he's obviously got hands and the head IQ for the game. He's going to be a guy that's going to be unbelievable to watch. Shame that Edmonton, we're going to see him come around here in Philadelphia. We're seeing the home rate once a year, barring health. But he's a guy that is absolutely unbelievable. There's another guy too, Ty Doby's on Nashville in Arizona, and he really impressed me a lot. He can score, he can set up plays. He's a very good player in this league. There's a lot of good young guys all over. You've got Tyler Johnson, there's Tampa Bay Lightning. So young and smaller guys are having success in this league. And I think that's a transition that the team is making right now. Speed and skill is what survives. You don't necessarily need to be big and broad. Power your way. You those guys need those. Once you need the young skilled guys.
It's definitely transitioning into a faster game, undoubtedly. Jason, let's switch gears entirely. Obviously, it's Eagles-Cowboys week, but for the past week, Philadelphia has talked about Temple football. Did you ever imagine that Temple football would come to like fruition like this, would have this immense success?
No, I never thought I'd see it in my lifetime, but they've done a good job. They've done a great job in the program, and he's displayed a lot of stability, and that's not going to stay there.
Knock on wood.
It's a team that has really believed in it, and really the key to either their success is that he had a group there that has stayed there together and grow together. A lot of times in college athletics, you've got guys that all kind of come up together. They're all more mature than the opposition and been in the system longer than the opposition and have actually played the first couple of years like the team has. And that's been the biggest advantage. They don't have the blue chip recruits like other schools have, like Notre Dame and some of these other programs. But they're a team right now and a program that's on the rise. Can they stay there? That's a big question.
That is the million-dollar question, and it remains to be seen. Hopefully they can win out and make some noise in the AAC and potentially have a New Year's Day bowl. But again, like you just said, that remains to be seen. With that in mind, it is Eagles-Cowboys week. Jason, this city lives and dies with its Eagles. You pretty much can't turn on a sports radio station in this town without hearing something about the Philadelphia Eagles. You're with Mike Missinelli. Is this your favorite week to be a radio host in the city? Eagles-Cowboys week?
Well, yeah, football season makes the job easier. No doubt about it. Especially considering we're seeing the other teams in this now. And I'm not saying the Eagles are in a state that's much better than the other teams right now. But yeah, this is why you're here to do it. This is why it's fun. Football sets up perfectly for what we do. Present the having game, you get to dissect it for a couple of days. You start to present the days, then you start to preview the next one, and there's only 16 of them, so they're all big. And from the Eagles and the Cowboys, there's nothing bigger, especially when you got a team right now. The Eagles coming off the bye week at 3-4, looking to get back to 500. Still in the mix, obviously, in this future division of the NFC East.
Yeah.
But you got a Cowboys here that's lost 5 straight. You're looking to put another nail in their coffin. So there's plenty to play for. And it's just going to be a question of whether that coach actually decided to do some self-evaluation and not be too arrogant or too stubborn to actually make some changes. That's the question for me. I don't know if he's going to be. I don't know if he's capable.
When you say changes, what exactly do you mean? Do you mean at the quarterback position?
I don't necessarily mean personnel changes. I
Mhm.
think changes in approach and in the way he does things. I think he runs too limited amount of plays. I think he's referred to it many times in press conferences that it's all about execution. The guys will just execute better. Well, execution is a lot easier. It's a lot easier to execute plays when the other team doesn't know what you're about to do. So, look, every play is about execution. When the other team has to guess what you're doing, it's a lot easier to execute. Unless he changes, adds more plays, gets more creative, does some things differently. Until he does that, he's not going to have success. And I just don't know that his arrogance is good. He relies on a system so much that he's felt that his arrogance is going to allow him to go outside of his box and do what needs to be done to be successful in the game.
All right, Jason, we're up against it. I want to thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Anytime.
All right, we just talked to Jason Myrtetus. He is the co-host of the Mike Missinelli Show in the afternoons from 2 to 6 on 97.5. He's also the assistant program director at the station. Again, thank you one more time to Jason, and all the best, Jason. Go Flyers.
Appreciate it.
All right, you too.